Hi, I'm Lynne with Softsquares. Today I'm going to show you this quilt builder card deck that is new from C&T Publishing. This is the Applique Christmas block set that was just released. When you open the box, you get all these cards, and this is what's on top. It also has instructions. It has a lot of quilt layouts, and then blocks. On here, you'll notice on the back side of the color picture is a black and white print, and they've actually divided this sheet up into 4 quadrants, which will be helpful when you go to enlarge them. And so there is a conversion sheet right here, and there's pretty good instructions on it. It's a little confusing, at least it was for me at first glance, but it actually is super, super easy. But this is the quilt block that I'm going to try to make today. And I don't know if I'm going to use the outer border or not, but this is telling you that the size that they're recommending is 36 inches by 36 inches. Our card is actually only 4 by 4. These are the other pieces that are needed to make the border, and at the very top right you see that there's a number. On the bottom of the card it tells you which numbers you need, which cards you need. So the center is 1, and then there's 4 different ones for the border. And then it also tells me the scale. So it's telling me the top piece would be 36 inches by 36 inches, and the border pieces I will enlarge to 8 by 8. And that will give me the scale for what they're showing on that little picture. You can make the quilt your own and do whatever you want. Now here's these little divided lines that help you when you go to enlarge it, because obviously 36 inches is pretty big and you're going to have to probably break it down to get it larger. Now you might want to go to FedEx or Kinko's or someplace that has the ability to enlarge it. You also might have the ability to do it at home. We'll talk a little bit later about how we did it here. But these are more of the types of blocks that you'll find in here, but the whole box is applique. This is really neat. Now this is brand new, just came out, and I'm going to show you how I am going to attempt to make this block today. I honestly have not done anything where I've had to enlarge it, and so I thought, well, since I'm figuring this out, I might as well show you my process. Again, I'm just showing you the different cards that are used on the border there. Still not sure if I'm going to go that way or not, but right now we've just tackled the center piece. Now you see I have some papers there in front of me. Oh, by the way, I should show you. Well, it's not zooming in. It will tell you what card and the size if it would just focus. So I have had Marlon help me make this enlarged. We've got all the papers figured out and printed. We did do it at home. It shows it can be done. You can see that I went ahead and pulled out our big paper cutter. It was just easier for me because of the margins that had printed on this. I'm just going to tape everything together, so I'm just cutting it up. I'm going to put it together like a big puzzle, and I don't know why I cut that corner off. I'm going to have to put it back on. Anyway, Mr. Fix-It put this in Excel. There's quite a process. It wasn't that hard, but he loves Excel. But what he did is he scanned this with his flatbed scanner, put the whole file into Excel, and from there he was able to drag and make the picture as big as he wanted and to the scale that he wanted. And then he broke it up and sent everything to the printer so they came out on their own page. And now I'm just putting it back together. Now, Mr. Fix-It is offering his services to anyone who would like help. So if you have an applique in this set that you would like enlarged, email him, Mr. Fix-It at softsquares.com, and let him know which one it is and what size that you want it to be. He will do the same thing for you, where he will scan it, he will put it in a PDF, and then send it to you as one big file. All you have to do is print, right? And then put together like a puzzle. And then, so you can watch and see how I do the rest of it, but he is making it easy for you. The other option is you can take it to a copy shop and they can help you get it to the size that you need. But he's offering free service. You just have to be able to print it. So keep that in mind. Again, Mr. Fix-It at softsquares.com if you need help enlarging these. So I'm just going to let this play. For the most part, you're going to be seeing just like the behind the scenes of how I put this whole thing together. I will cut in a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I personally like watching videos like this where it just runs and you can kind of see how everything goes. So I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm showing you basically from start to finish, and then you'll see what I ended up doing at the end, if I did the borders or not, and where I am with that. But you will see progress on this. So keep watching, and here's some music. So this is where I am right now. I have taken this card from this deck, and if you turn it over, you get this. I gave it to my husband and he enlarged it to 36 by 36. And to do that, you have to follow this chart. We have to go 200% and then take that 200% and go up 150%. Anyway, this will make sense. It will make sense. But there's also a QR code where you can get 8 by 8 pictures just by itself. I have a light board here. I don't really need it at this moment, but it's here. I'm going to start cutting out some of these big sections so that I can work with them easier. And honestly, placement is not going to be difficult. You can see where they are. I sell it by the foot. It's light stainless seam, and I'm going to be using that on this project. So I just brought the whole roll in. Maybe I'll start with the big pieces and then can make things out of the leftovers. did not love this color for this placement, so I am changing it up. And since I've already used the sticky part to put it on the light green fabric, I'm just peeling the back side off and sticking it on the fabric there instead of onto the project. And then I'm going to use 505 spray to glue it to the project itself because there's no stick on the back of this dark teal that I'm using, but I like the way it looks a lot better. This is my house so far. I think I want to put something right here. So I'm giving it some thought, but I'm thinking maybe like a wreath or something. Anyway, you could do whatever you want with it, but the pattern up here does not have it. You probably figured out by now I'm actually making this backwards because I didn't plan for needing to reverse things. But you also can make it your own. So this is my own. I've also made it bigger, taller, and wider. And so what's left for me to do are to cut out the trees and then do my top stitching. And so I'm thinking of the trees maybe being a little more spread out. I don't know. We'll see. But this is where I am. So he's going to need an eyeball. And then the top stitching for everything. Like I said, I'm thinking about putting like a little wreath right here. Let's put something kind of cute, decorative. And then my trees. I've got 4 trees, 4 trunks. And the trees will probably be a mixture of different colors. My trunks, I think I'll just let them all be brown. This is as far as I'm going to go right now. What's left is to do top stitching. I wish there was a little more contrast between the sky and the house, but I think if I do a darker green stitch around it, it'll help make it pop. And that's what's left of that. And I'm using a bigger background, and I might trim it down, but I do have a lot of sky. It's also cute just how it is, but I spaced my trees out a little bit more. Other than that, I put the placement of everything in the inside pretty much exactly how they had it, except I mirror image. There's what it's supposed to look like. And honestly, it's your own quilt. Do what you want with it. So there is mine, and there is the paper on the wall of it being blown up. Tell me what you think, and I'll update you on what I do with it next. But this is taken from the Quilt Builder deck. You should try it.